My name is Daniella Russo, and I've lived in this community since 2002. I live in Carmel Valley, not all the way in the valley, in Mid-Valley, and I've raised two children here in this community as well. I am also the co-founder and executive director of the Plastic Pollution Coalition, and I co-founded this organization at the end of 2009. The Plastic Pollution Coalition is an organization of individuals, organizations, and businesses working together to end plastic pollution. It's a global organization, but its roots are firmly in the communities such as this one, not only ocean communities, but also communities around the globe. The problem of plastic pollution is a big one. It affects not only our ocean, it affects our health, it affects our land, it affects our air, the food we eat, and our bodies. And for me, it started by becoming a member of this community. Years and years ago, before I moved and lived here, I took my children to see a tour of the glass bottom boat. And we expected to see all these amazing animals at the bottom of the ocean. And the only thing we saw were bottle caps, brightly colored bottle caps, red straws, plastic pollution like this. It was amazing and supremely disappointing. And several years after that, I had the opportunity to work on a film that featured, amongst other things, the fate of the Laysan albatross, the mother who fed her baby with bright, beautiful plastic bits and pieces until its stomach was full to bursting with plastic pieces that will make it die of thirst and hunger because there was no more space left for food. So to me, that was a mother and a child story that was especially poignant since I was raising two children as well, and I had no idea what plastic would do to their bodies, to their health. Later on, I grew to realize that the pollution that leaches out of plastic containers, out of the baby formula cans, out of all the cans that we get our vegetables from, could act as a synthetic estrogen and could affect their entire endocrine system. And little by little, observing plastic pollution in the community, the plastic bags tied up in trees, the plastic bottles kicking on Cannery Row and in front of the aquarium, and in front of some of the most pristine places, and learning what this plastic can actually do to the human body, I started wanting to share that experience, to help others understand what I knew, and to help them change their habits, to help them become less dependent on plastic. It was a journey that helped me realize that this was easier said than done. We're surrounded by plastic. There is plastic in the stores. There is plastic everywhere we turn, in our clothes, in this carpet, everywhere we're around. So it became clear that just saying no to plastic and reducing your plastic footprint is not easy. What truly was necessary was collaboration on a grand level, like the one that doesn't exist right now. What was needed was people who were well informed and understanding the issues with plastic pollution, businesses and manufacturers who are willing to offer solutions that provide alternatives to plastic pollution, and legislators willing to support the will of the people who decide that they would ban plastic bags in their communities, polystyrene containers in their communities, just like we did here not long ago, about 2 years ago. And we're working on banning plastic bags in many communities, such as Carmel, Pacific Grove, Monterey, Santa Cruz on the other side of the bay. Plastic bags that not only trash our communities, but cause immense harm to our ecosystem, and also are at great cost to our waste management facilities. So the Plastic Pollution Coalition is a labor of love. It was created by recognizing that this need that we have in our community is uniformly shared around the globe. People in Bombay, India, in Bangladesh, in Russia, in China have exactly the same problem, both health-wise as well as in their communities. And so what became necessary and important was to reach out to all of these communities and say, we're in this together. Let's work together. Let's create a global movement to help end plastic pollution, to stand up to the manufacturers and tell them it's our choice what materials we use for packaging, not yours. And by the way, it is your moral imperative to deliver products that don't leach toxins in our foods and in our babies' bodies. So the Plastic Pollution Coalition is that organization. Since 2009, when we founded it, we've added about 80,000 people to the social network, about 130 organizations and leading conservation organizations around the globe. It is growing daily, and it helps communities such as ours here execute on its plan to reduce its plastic footprint and to become more efficient in protecting its citizens and protecting our ecosystem from degradation due to increased plastic pollution. Since its inception, Plastic Pollution Coalition has worked on understanding what is the one common ask. If we were to get every organization around the globe working to end plastic pollution, what is it that they would ask people to do? What is it that they would ask manufacturers to do? And what is it that they would ask legislators to do? And to me, understanding this became with a microcosm of the needs of our own community. Observing how we behave here, how we treat tourism, how we deal with protecting our ecosystem and our tourism became something that was possible to magnify on a larger scale. For example, a couple of years ago, we worked really hard to end polystyrene containers here in our community. In addition to being a menace to the environment, polystyrene containers release neurotoxins into the food that they contain. And so by helping the community deal with this environmental problem, we actually help people live a healthier life. The lessons that we learned from this battle, the documents that were produced, the research that was produced became a tool that was made available to people around the globe who are dealing with banning polystyrene containers. The path to this is the same. The people in India who are working to ban polystyrene containers faced exactly the same problems. They had increasing costs of recycling and disposing of polystyrene containers, and a large business who refused to budge and said that this is their right to ship and produce these containers. So where our experience helped was by producing the research and the information and materials that were made available by our organizations and by our city council. But also we were able to help them by sharing with them how we ignited the community, how we helped the community come behind on this topic and get involved. It all begins with letting people know and making up their own mind. We live in an age where people are supremely educated, very informed, and very curious. And all we do in the organization is share information with them. So the very first topic we ended up agreeing on with all the coalition members was, when it comes to plastic, the greatest cause of plastic pollution is single-use and disposable plastics. And this is a rallying cry for everybody who works on plastic pollution around the globe. It is refuse single-use and disposable plastics. We reached out to various communities around the globe, to our own community, and we said, when it comes to single-use plastics, plastic products that are made to be used only once and then disposed, the simple response is refuse, just say no. This is why we're working now very hard to end the dependence on plastic bags in our own communities. This is one obnoxious, pervasive single-use product that is of a great source of concern to us. The second topic that we all agreed on with regards to the strategy of the Plastic Pollution Coalition is how we talk about plastic. Recycling of plastic does not work. For the most part, around the globe, as well as here, these numbers are consistent. The recycling is about 10% or so, in some instances 2%, in some cases between 4 and 6%. That means that millions, billions of tons of plastic ends up in the ocean, ends up in the environment without anything being done to it. So it is very important that people get educated on this, and we've begun a campaign to explain that when it comes to plastic, the best way to do is refuse single-use plastics and reduce your overall plastic intake, reduce your plastic footprint, and explain to people that recycling does not work, that it's a myth perpetuated by the plastics industry, and it's something that we're working very hard to dispel. You can recycle glass, you can recycle aluminum and stainless steel, but really not plastic. In connecting people around these two topics, we've been very successful. We have launched campaigns around the country, we've launched campaigns around the globe. The really big campaign we run right now is called Refuse. The Refuse campaign unifies people who understand the issues with plastic pollution and just helps them understand that there is nothing wrong in saying, I don't need a plastic bottle, I'll bring my reusable one. I don't need a plastic bag, I'll bring my own one. Perhaps the greatest achievement of the Plastic Pollution Coalition so far is its ability to get the message out everywhere in a wave around the globe. And this will continue in the years to come, we hope. It has been our goal to bring the issue of plastic pollution to the people and communities worldwide. It is really important that the message reaches not only manufacturers and political leaders, but everyday people, so that they understand that their everyday actions have tremendous impact, rippling effect over the whole global use of plastic pollution. Or the overall reduction of plastic pollution. So to that end, we're delighted to be working with the Museum of Monterey as a community anchor, as a way to reach this community with our message and with our call to action.